Ew. And we're live. Welcome to the first episode of Polybius. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is very exciting for all of us. The first Metaverse series about travel and hospitality. So really excited to be part of that. Just want to thank Hospitality Next for believing in this crazy project. If you remember, we did something back in May, a 10-hour event in Metaverse version of Rome. And what we're trying to do today is a little different. The thing that I'm trying to do is to get people from different industries that are doing something interesting with the metaverse to understand the real application, current possible application, and the future application. And overall, my main goal is that you can understand a little better what the metaverse is, and especially what the metaverse is not. Because I know that, and this is our fault as well, usually when we talk about the metaverse, we only talk about VR, and we only talk about Facebook rebranding, but this is a fraction of the possibility that the metaverse opens up. So I hope that with this web series, we will be able to change this only virtual world narrative and better understand what the metaverse is. Before we start, I just want to say a couple of words, and I just want to tell you how this group came together. When we did the first event in the metaverse last May, Hospitality Net Meta Meetup, uh, I loved every second of it, but I felt that something was missing, and to me, this was the lack of diversity in the viewpoints, because all the people that joined us for that event were people from the hospitality space or the travel space or the travel tech space, right? And and my problem with that is that we were all looking at the same direction. And what I wanted to do with Polybius was to create a group of people with different backgrounds, not necessarily from hospitality, that can explain to you and to me as well what the metaverse is, what the metaverse is not, and what we can actually do in the metaverse. And again, this would not be possible without the help of Hospitality Net, Henry Rellings, of course. It's just every time I got a crazy idea, he's always on board. So thank you so much, Henry. And the beautiful Jill next to me is very shy, but she's the real boss of the series. Like, she takes care of everything, make sure we're all on time. So thank you so much, Jill, for the amazing work you're doing with this Police web series.
Thank you,
And
Simone.
yeah, you're super welcome. And then we got, it's very invisible today because it's behind the camera, but we got Davey as well. And Davey is basically the director today. So Davey, I know you cannot answer, but thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Um, so how this is going to work? We got around 45, 50 minutes, and every month we will start discussing different angles of the metaverse. And again, I think that it's very important for us to start with the basics, and this is why I wanted to start with episode one, just by defining what the metaverse is, and again, what the metaverse is not. Little by little, we'll get a little more technical. So episode one, two, and three will be more about understanding the metaverse, and then we will move a little more into what we can do advertising-wise, marketing-wise, brand optimization-wise, and so forth. If you're watching this in 2D, like on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever platform, and you do have a question for us, feel free to write it down, and Jill will read all the question and will stop us, and we will answer you. And you see that there are some people around in the room, and this is something that I wanted to do. I hope this will not turn into total chaos, but I wanted to have people in the room, right? So basically, you can actually join, spend some time in a room, look around, and it's great. Otherwise, you just can watch the event in 2D on whatever platform you use. So enough talking. I don't want to talk too much. I already talked too much. Let's start with the introduction of our speakers today. And we start with Mattia. Mattia, welcome. Can you tell us a little more about yourself, what you do, your company, and your background experience in the metaverse?
Hello, everyone. First, one word, I'm very happy to be here. This is very exciting and new, also for me. First time joining a panel in the metaverse. I think we're very on the cutting edge. We're doing stuff on the cutting edge. And yeah, so let's get into it. I am a marketer. I work mainly in Web3 for Web3 startups. One of the startups is called Udi. It's Italian, by the way, and it's a decentralized data protocol. It's a bit specific, but what we do, like we're trying to make let's say the web more fair and decentralized and give ownership to the people instead of middleman companies. Apart from this, I'm also building a DAO that, for those of you that have never heard of it, it's a decentralized autonomous organization. It's also something that got started really with Web3 and with all of the new financial tools that we have, Web3, which is short for DeFi, decentralized finance. But DAO they have many other applications, and I hope that my point of view here could be that one of a person that wants to build a different type, like more fair economies in the metaverse, that give a bit of view on how we could create economies that are more fair, more equal, that are actually governed by people and not by huge institutions, public or banks or. By the way, the point here is that I would like to see like more involvement from people that are able to take decision while creating these new metaverse societies. That's what I can say about me.
Okay, that's pretty good. So Mattia, I'm going to ask you a first question here, because of course we're all familiar with Web 1, Web 2. Can you take like a couple of minutes to define in very simple terms what Web3 is and how decentralization plays a role in Web3?
Yeah. So, well, we can think, let's start with Web 1 and Web 2. For those of you that have lived through Web 1 and Web 2, we transitioned from Web 1, where it was very hard to create content on the internet. Basically, the people creating content it was decentralized, right? Because anyone could run his own little server, even in his own like computer, create some HTML page and put up a website and just create some content. But all of the rest of the users of the internet were just consuming, basically. They were not able to interact and to create content. Then we have Web 2, where users start becoming more important, but at the same time we have these huge platforms that try to capture all of the value of the user that users create. I think there is no need to make some references. Let's just think about the major.
Please don't name drop anyone, please.
Yeah, no, but let's just think about big social media platforms or big e-commerces, how they capture a lot of value of the creators, and the data of the users. All of the data live in centralized servers. They live in centralized database, and this makes the internet kind of hard for the user to navigate for two reasons. First reason is that you mostly have to log in into every new platform. You have to give out your data, and if you can imagine how many data you have given out and the value of this data, you would really get you would start being worried about all of your data around and the value that you're losing giving out all of this data.
Yeah.
And the Web3 makes this decentralization. It's kind of a bit of like, it's going forward, but it's also going back. Basically,
Ricardo.
Basically with.
Can you move out, Ricardo?
Yeah, that's the beauty of decentralization.
Basically, with Web3, we're going to be able to decentralize once again the web and make it, for example, more, even if now it's still an issue, but we can make it more interoperable. We can give the user the ownership of their data, of all of their activities, and hopefully in the future, this is also something related to Web3. What we hope is that we will not have like closed metaverses, even though it's technically incorrect to say metaverses, but let's say that we will have kind of one unified virtual like metaverse where with your data, with your
wait. Hold that thought, because this is a question I'm going to ask you later. Okay, so just for now, that's great. You gave me a very good explanation of what Web3 is, but hold that thought because I will go back.
Okay.
Thank you. Hassan, tell us a little more about yourself, what you do, and what you're trying to achieve in the metaverse space.
Thank you so much, Simona. Thanks, Jill, and thanks for everybody who joined us today. I'm really excited about this very unique panel. And my name is Hassan Al-Garhi. I founded the company Doverse out of Dubai. And what we are doing is actually we're designing and building for businesses on the metaverse. What we're trying to do is to lower down the barriers to enter the metaverse. So basically, you don't have to buy a land to get into the metaverse. You don't have to buy NFTs. You don't even have to have a crypto wallet to get into the metaverse. This stuff is nice to have, but not must have in order to get into the metaverse. Take spatial, for example, what we are in now. You don't need all this in order to start on the metaverse. So what we are doing is that we come actually from an architecture and interior design background. And we found that one of the main problems with many of the current metaverse service providers is that they come from the gaming industry. So the metaverse experiences that they are providing is sort of cartoonish, which is not good for everybody, not good for businesses. And if we want to sell the metaverse to a wider audience, we really need to create more professional and realistic metaverse experiences. And that's exactly what we decided to do. So that's basically what we're doing.
Okay, that's great. And then we got Michael. I don't think you need any introduction, but try to introduce yourself in a couple of minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Simon, and thanks, everyone. So my name is Michael Cohen. I am a strategic advisor to travel, hospitality, restaurant tech companies all over the world, work with various partners. I'm an advisor to a really powerful focused organization called Rendezverse, which is focused on the MICE space and the digital twin space within the travel and hospitality industry. But overall, I think these kind of events are becoming so important to take some of the stigma and some of the bleeding edge scenarios that people still think this is, and kind of eliminating that and understanding that this is leading edge and soon to be every day. Just to be open, I spend, and I'm not a total nerd, I spend an hour a day in meetings in the metaverse every single day. And it's with clients, it's with my internal partners at Gain Advisors, which is a global advisory organization for technology companies. This is real, and this is will become normalized. And what I'm really happy with Simon and Henri and the folks at hospitality.net have done here is it's provided this kind of dialogue and forum for all of us, either in the travel, hospitality, and restaurant industry or outside, as Simon said, to understand that this is about amplification and scalability and accessibility for the IRL in real life. Secondarily, there's obviously new worlds and new experiences and new immersive options that are being developed for consumers, for guests, for passengers, for corporate enterprises internally or externally that were never even possible, or even were never even possible, never even like be able to think about because they were so far-fetched. Now they're not. And that's really important. So I'm a metavisor. That's what I do. That's part of my practice and with my partners. So this is important to me personally, obviously, but I think it's really the right time for people like ourselves and everyone watching in 2D and in LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube to really understand that the train has left the station in many ways. It's not too late, but it's time for people both from an enterprise or a corporate or customer-facing perspective to really start to spend some time on what is possible.
Okay, I really like what you said about the stigma around the metaverse. And I really think there is a stigma, but I have my own theory. Okay, this is really the last thing I'm going to say, and that it will be all of you guys. But we picked the worst possible name for this technology, because like everybody's talking about Snow Crash right now, and Snow Crash is a science fiction book, cyberpunk book from the 90s, and for the first time in that book you do have the word metaverse. Now the problem is that I've always been into science fiction all my life, and the first time I read Snow Crash, I was probably 13 or 14. It's a very dystopian book. You got the mafia, you got like economic collapse, you got drug dealers. It's a nightmare. So I said, look, why are we getting the name out of this dystopian novel? But then I thought, do you remember the Big Brother franchising? That was exactly the same thing. The name was coming from a highly dystopian novel, in this case, 1984 by George Orwell. So I think that I'm a man of words, but I think that a lot of the stigma comes from the fact that we're basically taking the name from a very dystopian novel, and a lot of what we feel and perceive as the metaverse today is nothing else than a convergence of different technologies: AR, VR, mixed reality, blockchain, Web3, NFTs, whatever. So that will be my first question for you guys. Well, let's start with Mattia, right? If you should describe what the metaverse is, and even more important, if you should describe what the metaverse is not, which words would you choose?
Okay, tough question. It's hard to define something, or not define something, but it's still defining. It's easier not like what you say, what is not, probably. Thank you for making it easier. Well, I would say that it's known of these single technologies, right? So it's not just virtual reality. It's not just augmented reality. It's not just the software that is behind, for example, creating all of these polygons that are necessary to create avatars. It's not Web3. It's, as you correctly said, I agree with this, it's the convergence of several different technologies that make it possible to create an extended space where we can express, we could be able to express ourselves at the maximum of our capability and invent new type of societies which which I hope they won't be like cyberpunks imagine them. So this is what I would say. It is not, and a bit of what I say could be.
Okay, I think you're already going too far, but I I totally agree with you. And I always say, look, we should probably read less motivational books and more science fiction novels to understand where the world's going. That's a great way to put it. Hassan, if you should describe the metaverse like to my dad, for example, how would you describe it?
Yeah, sure. I would say that the metaverse is basically an evolution of the internet from a 2D experience to a 3D fully immersive experience. So for example, we're having this meeting now in an immersive experience if you're using a headset, and we have people probably from more than 25 countries rather than having it on a Zoom meeting or a 2D screen. And this experience is really, really a great enhancement, a great enhanced experience. And I really highly recommend people to immerse themselves in this experience and try it for a while, and they will realize the opportunities in the metaverse. Actually, as Michael was saying, he's spending one hour a day in that meeting. I'm doing almost the same, about even 2 to 3 hours a day in the metaverse. So when I go back to my 2D phone or 2D screens, I really feel that this is something from the past. I feel like a dinosaur using these 2D experiences. So this is totally an evolution of the internet. This is an enhancement for the experience, and this comes with a lot of opportunities that we don't want to miss, and we want to think about effective use cases for our businesses and even our personal use on the metaverse.
Can I add something? Can I make a point on the
Sure.
sun? Okay. So, well, but if you say that the metaverse is basically the new internet, that like a transition from 2D to 3D internet and immersive experience, that's I think that for me it is too narrow design. Too narrow. It's too narrow. Like it's basically you are describing either virtual reality or augmented reality. Like for me, what I think is that we cannot take out from these equations the fact that it's a space of possibility of reshaping the reality of doing things differently. That is just like something. Yeah,
I agree.
What do you think?
I actually agree, Mattia. If it's okay, Simon, if I can chime in, yeah.
Sure, you have
Okay.
to.
I have to. Okay, well, I want to, so it's even better. To Mattia's point, and Hassan, you're of course from the foundation makes sense. You know, the metaverse is an umbrella. It's an umbrella term at this point that encompasses all these immersive, digital, transactional, blockchain, NFT. These are all, and I think that's in Web3. That's what Mattia is trying to leading to as well. Is metaverse is a catchphrase, an overall umbrella term that talks about all of these technologies that as they mature, as they overlay, the innovation overlays each other. And over the next 5 years, we'll have a very focused execution in many ways of what is a successful implementation of the metaverse, whatever that'll look like in 5 years, and what is an unsuccessful implementation of the metaverse. People are, venture capitalists are making bets right now on which platforms, what actual immersive technology, which transactional secure blockchain or otherwise, tech will be the leader. So really what this is all about right now is there's so much information, there's so much possibilities, and there's so much tech, both from a physical hardware, like all the major organizations that are investing in viewers and headsets, and then augmented reality, which is of course an intelligent overlay on the real world. And then of course, this is about extended reality, which is a term that's sort of not only the nerds in like me and others in the industry really talk about extended reality anymore, which is XR. And that's really what the metaverse can incorporate. So it's about they use the term crossing the chasm and all those things. We're in that point right now where we're starting to cross the chasm. And what the metaverse is today is going to be very different what it is in 5 years.
Yeah, totally. Look, and I think I always like to look. First of all, Michael, I totally agree with you, but we had this conversation like a billion times, right? And whenever I think of the metaverse, I think of extended reality. So whenever we're not talking only about the physical world, in a way we are in the metaverse. And I think that's the big misunderstanding, that the metaverse is only virtual. And especially for hospitality, that's a big problem because, hospitality is a very physical industry. And if you keep telling the story that the metaverse is only virtual, first of all, you're scaring people. And second of all, that's not even semantically correct. And let me tell you a little story. When we did the first event in the metaverse in May, uh, I was just back to my city, that's Rome in Italy, after almost 10 years in Paris, and so I really wanted to have the the president of the Italian Hotel Association, right? And he told me an interesting story, and I always come back to him whenever I need to know a little about our past. And he told me a story that is pretty interesting, and it really resonated with me. He said, "Look, the first time a hotel received a reservation via email, I was there in Italy, and we opened a bottle of champagne, we drank, but then the general manager came to me and said, look, this will be the end of travel because people will not travel anymore. They will do everything virtually." And this was an email, right? And I'm seeing exactly the same narrative now with the metaverse. Actually, I've seen the same narrative whenever there's a new technology, right? So now I really want you guys to ask you the same question, but in reverse. What the metaverse is not. Can you start by, Mattia, let's start with you. Can you just explain to the people listening to this, and maybe it's the first experience in the metaverse, that the metaverse is not only virtual, it's not only augmented, but it's physical, part physical and part virtual. Go, Mattia.
Yeah. I have the same the same impression from people that as soon as a new big technology comes up, they are very scared of, oh, people will get completely sucked by this new virtual reality, for example. Well, what we can say is that if we look at what happened with some video games, and let's not confuse metaverse with video games, but video games could be part of the metaverse in some way. Let's look at Fortnite, for example. Like this relationship.
Whoa. Let me stop you for a second. I think like a lot of the people listening or watching to this, they're very familiar with a company called LinkedIn. And now LinkedIn has been acquired by Microsoft, right? What most people don't know is that recently Microsoft acquired another company that is actually a gaming company called Activision Blizzard for 3 times the value of LinkedIn. So just to put things into perspective, sure, gaming is a part of the metaverse, but gaming is a big part of the infrastructure of the metaverse. Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. That's a good point. And because like these companies, they are creating cultures in the metaverse. They are creating relationships between people that then they also flow out from if we think about still two separate worlds, right? If we think about physical reality and digital reality, and we do not think about phygital, what I would say is that they flow from digital into the physical reality. But what actually happens is that since we are living in some kind of more fluid space between digital and physical, these cultures that maybe that you can't even exactly recognize if they were born into the digital space or into the physical space. But what matters is that they encompass the two spaces and kind of unify the culture. They go all over, and that's why like this strategic acquisition, like what is more powerful than cultures, like people believing in things and people behaving according to their values, right? So this is my take on it.
Totally. Look, and I think if we can do something good today, that will be to slightly change the narrative. So it's not about.
Yeah, I agree, Simon. That should be the focus of this, is to change the narrative in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And Michael, I always there is a book that I really loved, and it's a philosopher called David Chalmers, and he wrote an amazing book called Reality Plus. Basically, what he says is that in just probably 20 years, the difference between physical reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality will be so slim that it will be completely useless to even try to make a difference. And
yeah, I mean, Simon, if I can interject, I think
sure.
what's key here is, and let's talk about travel and hospitality for a second. I mean, there's lots of people in the industry that are watching today. I know we're having a macro discussion, but I think it's important to talk about a specific vertical, obviously, as well. Listen, the metaverse is all about amplification of the experiences for guests, passengers, and back of the house employees. It's amplification of the in real world, the IRL. It's not about cannibalizing. That's what it's not. Again, you ask what it's not. That's one of the things it's not. So the reality literally is going to be, and it's happening already, is that every metaverse / XR technology in travel and hospitality, restaurant tech, enterprise, general like stadiums and consumer entertainment, all has to go through 3 filters. Anyone who's developing and or looking to execute a metaverse implementation for a certain vertical or across consumer B2C or B2B, you got to go through 3 filters. The first thing is, does it provide utility? Second thing, does it drive engagement? And the third thing is, does it expand loyalty? Now, those are 3 terms from an MBA course on marketing or international marketing or consumer or enterprise, sales and marketing and experiences. So it's about utility, engagement, and loyalty. And secondarily, as you were saying, Simon and others, is this digital, which means this hybrid combination of the physical location, destination, resorts, experience, and a virtualized, immersive digital twin, perhaps. So what this is that as a guest, consumer, etc., I want to be able to pre-experience, the Atlantis in the Bahamas as part of my decision-making for my family. So the metaverse and XR technologies are, implementing these kind of expanded experiences in the digital world, the immersive world, where I can now pre-experience. Then on-premise, metaverse for travel, hospitality, etc., and other industries like, again, sports stadiums and entertainment venues. There's an expanded, enhanced experiential opportunity for actual consumers. So for a quick example, I was at a wonderful art exhibition in Vienna, Austria this summer, where they had the full experience, and it was amazing. And it was Gustav Klimt. It had the Kiss and all his works. It was amazing. But then at the end of the museum tour, they had a VR experience of it. And it was incredible. First of all, it was incredible to see grandmas and little kids all involved with headsets, and they were having an expanded immersive experience to what they've would have only experienced in the physical world. The last part of this all is post. What the metaverse is doing for all types of consumer and enterprise and B2B and B2C is now there's an opportunity to, I've experienced something, so I pre-researched, I pre-experienced, I experienced something on premise, either in a physical or enhanced immersive environment, and now I can actually take my Kodak slides from 1970s, that's my kind of like the metaphor, and share that with others. So there is, high definition 3D VR recording of me, at Disney World. Well, now I can actually share that with others in my family and friends group post-trip, post-experience, post-concert, post-conference, etc. So it's pre, present, and post. And that's really what, in my opinion, how the metaverse really is driving in the short term, incredible impact for B2B and B2C.
I
Yeah,
think
totally.
we're still talking about
Go on,
Yeah,
Matthew.
can I? Yeah, I feel like I agree totally. I think this is gonna be, of course, like the first way in which we use kind of these technologies. But I feel this is still too narrow, right? We're still talking about VR. I think that the switch of the narrative we have to deal with the part of relationships. We have to deal with the part of cultures. The fact that the metaverse is a space for new cultures to emerge. It's a space of expression. It's a space where you can create what you have always imagined. That's
fair.
a point I would like to, yeah. That's a point I would like
Actually,
also,
Matteo, sorry, go ahead, Hassan. You go ahead, Hassan.
Yeah. I wanted also to say something about what we are doing in terms of building what we call a human-centric metaverse. So a human-centric metaverse means we are studying what would be the effect of the metaverse on the users in terms of mental health and well-being, because somebody has to take care of this. Most of the platforms take care of the technology and experience and so forth, but somebody has to take care of the human factor or the effect of the metaverse experiences on the people. And when you're asking Simone what the metaverse is not, it's definitely not only VR. It's definitely not like a parallel universe that we will be living in. I think the idea of digital twins and creating and running some operations on the metaverse is a very important idea, and it's for a good cause. And there are some things also related to sustainability. So for example, there is no physical construction on the metaverse, while you can run some actual businesses and full operation on the metaverse, which saves resources and decreases, greenhouse gas emissions. There is no physical commuting on the metaverse, which again decreases the transportation and so forth. So for example, if you want to build a physical store, retail store, instead of having 10 physical branches, you can have one physical branch and like 10 different branches on the metaverse. So the idea of creating a digital twin and running the operation on the metaverse is a very, I think, effective idea. And I'll give an example from the real estate industry, for example. The real estate industry now, they are, for example, showcasing, they are creating digital twins of their properties, and they are showcasing under construction properties and overseas properties to clients in a fully immersive experience. Now, this is just maybe a basic use case, but I mean, we could think of many use cases tailored to different industries.
Yeah, Hassan, you nailed it. Go ahead, Simon. Yep.
Where you going? Again, the goal of this series is to educate people. So you need to be very patient, because I'm going to ask you questions that for you are like obvious. I just want to make sure that everyone can understand. That's, to me, it's the main goal of what we're doing here. So Hassan, you're talking a lot about digital twins, right? And of course, we all know what a digital twin means. But again, let's try to explain the main concept of digital twin. It has been around since probably the 80s to somebody that never heard the word. So could you please define what a digital twin is?
It's basically you are replicating or copying the physical place, the physical house, the physical office. You're just making exactly the same exact design on the metaverse. Like the space what we are sitting in now, if you have an office like with a specific design, you will copy the same thing, and even you will copy the same operation. So for example, we are building for a burger restaurant on the metaverse. This is a brand which has its own, designs and guidelines. We are copying the same brand, same color, same operation, where you can go on the metaverse restaurant and order the food, and then they will deliver to your house. The same for furniture stores, basically for any industry. This works for any industry. So that is basically what a digital twin is.
And for hospitality, this will be pretty big, because like usually when you talk to a hotel about the metaverse, the first thing they think about is a digital twin. Maybe they don't know exactly what a digital twin is, but in their mind is basically taking their property and creating a digital version of the property in the metaverse. But again, that is just a part of what the metaverse is. So again, I just want to get people to understand a little better the lingo. And of course, I think it's episode 2 or 3, I don't remember exactly, we will talk about the glossary of the metaverse. But Hassan, thank you so much for explaining this, because it's very, again, it's very helpful for people that they're not coming from the metaverse industry, right? And if I can add something, yeah.
I think interestingly, Mattia has a very, he's an expert in the areas of the metaverse that are maybe more geared towards what you talked about, Mattia, which is things that aren't in existence today, right? New scenarios, new use cases, new interactions, and a lot of complex and important and secure technology that's around that. And then Hassan is coming from the perspective of, primarily, I'm not saying, Hassan, I know everything you're doing, but I'm saying from the perspective of digital twin. And what I think is really key here is from the hybrid, or maybe from the middle ground, is there is a combination of what's today and what's tomorrow. The biggest opportunity and challenge of the metaverse, and many of us who are involved in companies who are emerging and scaling, and investors who are funding it, is that there needs to be tangible real world use cases where consumers and business executives see the value clearly, and it's not simply Decentraland or Sandbox or NFT hype and things like that. So the interesting thing is digital twin is a perfect on-ramp for consumers / corporate executives to get their head around what the metaverse could be, right? But Matteo is talking about is 100% true. In the background, there's an incredible amount of complex technology that's going to ensure that it's more efficient, it's more secure, and that it has a wide possibility. So there's a today and a tomorrow, maybe in some respects, and this kind of conversation, which I think is really important. Like, again, one of the firms I'm working with closely is Rendezvous. Their whole play is remote review, remote selection of convention and hotel experiences with configurations, et cetera. That's eliminating, as Hassan's saying, eliminating a wide range of travel expense, and encourages sustainability, and enables real customers to be able to make a short list of what they want to actually select for their conference in 2025, but do it remotely in a beautiful digital twin environment that's incredibly elegant, accurate, and sustainable. So that's really important from a real world perspective. And then what Matteo is talking about is, look, blockchain and all these other, very complex technology that we hear about, but we don't, not all of us, especially consumers and some business people, to be open, they really are confused. But the technologists and the scientists are working on that side as well to ensure that the next generation, let's call it, Matteo, the next opportunities are going to be even deeper and wider and more engaging than ever before.
Yeah, and it's not just
guys. We got a very interesting question that I would like to ask you.
Sure.
Time around, okay. So sorry for interrupting you. Well, first of all, I do agree with you, Michael, that again we're talking a lot about the metaverse now, and there's a lot of hype, and to a certain extent, it's very similar to what happened with the internet back in the mid-90s, right? But a lot of like the digital twin analogy to me is perfect, because like when you buy a car, for example, and you think about crash tests, and in our mind, a crash test is a physical car going full speed and crashing into a wall, right? But that's not really exactly what is happening today. What car companies are doing is they're creating digital twins of these cars, and they're crashing these cars in virtual world. So again, it's a new label that we put on something that has been around for a while, and that is what I was telling you at the very beginning. To me, the old metaverse narrative is very similar to the iPhone. When I think about the iPhone, remember like the launch of the first iPhone, there was nothing innovative about the iPhone. Like the cool thing about the iPhone was that it took many existing technologies and put all these technologies into one single device, right? And this is exactly what the metaverse is. It's getting AR, VR, digital twins, blockchain, Web3, whatever, blah, 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 and put it into a single a single piece of technology. But this is where the question is coming from. And we got a question from, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering your name now right now. Allard Jan Alfrink. I hope I pronounce it at least 50% right. And this is very close to it's a question that is very close to me, okay? So I'm going to ask you this. And it says, I'm going to read it to you. You talk about the metaverse as if it is one system, but with Decentraland, Somnio, Crypto Voxels, and others, there are still many platforms out there. Until this merges or some kind of interoperability emerges, it will be hard for hoteliers and business to commit. Well, first of all, Allard, this will be the main topic of one of the episodes because, of course, to me, interoperability between systems is the big, the number one barrier to mainstream adoption of the metaverse. But look, I'm going to ask you this again. So, Mattia, can you start what is the problem with interoperability between metaverses today? And I agree with you when, look, I don't like the metaverse narrative. I like to think about metaverses because there's not, look, let's be honest here. There's no such thing as one. So, Mattia, can you explain a little better to the viewers what this problem is all about?
Well, I see two sub-problems here. One is strictly technical, right? That as always, software developers and engineers, they have different views of which is the best system to create new things, right? So it could come from there. But on another point of view, it could come from companies trying to capture and capitalize the value created into the metaverses and trying to lock in the people by not creating interoperability. So one side, it's a technical problem. On the other side, I would say it's more of a value and intentional problem. So here I would say, okay, what do we want to do, guys? Do we want to reproduce the same mechanics of Web 2, or do we want actually to make stuff really decentralized and interoperable and give the opportunity to all of the people that are interacting in the metaverse to have a fluid experience between these different metaverses, right? Or do I have to create every time I join a new space in the metaverse, do I have to create another avatar from scratch without any reputation? Maybe I cannot have my surf hair that I have right now and that I like so much because some companies decide that I have to that I have to create a specific avatar for their system. Well, that's about what we're going to do. And that's also, I think, why it is so important to discuss how do we want metaverses and to be. Do we want them interoperable, or are we fine with what Web 2 built? So a very siloed kind of structure between platforms.
Mattia, to me, the answer is pretty easy. Like, we can create a metaverse in Web 2, but that will be just like The Sims or Second Life on steroids.
Yeah.
This will be like a great immersive 3D experience, but it will not create any value. It will not be decentralized. So I think we all agree here that want to build a good, open, utopic metaverse. Web3 is a big part of that. Hassan,
well,
what is
create value? Sorry, just one
Yeah.
thing. It will still create value, but especially with create value for the companies that own the metaverses and drastically decrease the value of the users because they're decreasing their possibility to experience metaverses with a unified identity.
Hassan, I'm asking you to be like the teacher here, okay? Can you, I tell you my view on this. Whenever we talk about the metaverse as something comparable to the internet, I think we're making a semantic mistake. And I see the metaverse now more as many platforms more similar to what social networks are today. So you've got a metaverse where you can go and just hang out with friends. You got a metaverse where you go and work, but you do not have such a, a central idea of what the metaverse is. So Hassan, can you explain this a little better? Because this is like the question I get all the time from my clients. They want to know, how do I enter the metaverse? And I said, look, there's no such thing as the metaverse. There are many metaverses. So first of all, you need to understand where your demographic is, if you need to buy land, if these metaverses can talk to each other to a certain extent, and so forth. Can you explain a little more? And again, I'm sorry, but I'm asking you to be a little more academic here. But can you explain the problem to somebody that is hearing about the problem for the first time?
I think entering and starting and interacting in the metaverse is quite easy and simple, and we are overcomplicating it. And what we are doing here, I mean, we are sort of hand-holding the general public into the metaverse. And in order to do that, we need to be a bit reductive. So I'm using some analogies, I'm using some stuff which will be reductive. And I'm sorry, Mattia, if you don't like these kind of analogies, they might not be like 100% technically correct. But I mean, we need to simplify it. We don't need to, use heavy terminology when we speak generally about the metaverse, because it is easy to get into the metaverse. So the comparison or the analogies that I was using from Web 2 to Web 3, or sort of translating the terminologies that we know about in Web 2, like for example, having a metaverse space is comparable to having a website. Selecting a metaverse platform, one of these metaverses, is comparable to selecting a domain to host your website. So this is the kind of thing. We have many metaverses, and I think many metaverse platforms from many countries, and I think this is healthy. This is not bad, actually, because you will select the metaverse that is suitable for you. For example, it's like you're having a retail outlet or a fashion store, and you open this fashion store in different countries or locations or shopping malls. So each of these metaverses will have its own audience, will have its own target audience, demographics, and so forth. So this is something, I mean, interoperability between them is, again, it's so reductive, but again, it's comparable to integrating different tools and different things, but in a much enhanced and much, I would say, better or advanced way in the metaverse. So that's my take on it. And I'm sorry again, Mattia, I know this is totally reductive, but
No,
as I said,
listen,
we're trying,
it's
sort
part of it.
Yeah.
Hassan, we need to be reductive. Our goal here is to take overcomplicated subjects, make it into something that is understandable for people that is not coming from the tech world. And look, I'm some kind of exception, because I spent 10 years working in hotels, and I spent the remaining 12, 13 years, I don't even remember, working in the tech world, right? And I know that a hotelier should be more focused on the quality of the pillows and the mattresses, rather than, the underlying blockchain technology that is fueling the metaverse. So what we're trying to do here is really to explain to people without a tech background what the metaverse is.
Simon,
so really, thank you so much for that.
If I can just add on, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so I think what's helpful is that we're talking about interface and infrastructure. So those are words that many people, not patronizing anyone, we have to be careful we don't do that, okay? Because we are early in many respects, some of us in this industry, in the immersive XR metaverse industry. But it's about interface and infrastructure. A lot of what Mattia is talking about is partially it's infrastructure. It's very complicated. It's very important. It's very secure. It's very scalable. It's very new. And Hassan is talking about a lot about, and I think it's fair, and I agree for both of them, is that this is about interface, right? It's about on-ramp. It's about experiential. But here's the thing. We're not talking about, this is an analogy that many of you may remember. We're not talking about a Betamax or VHS discussion. Videotapes took over. Was it Betamax? Was it VHS? The winners will win. Laserdisc. Well, Laserdisc did, but Simon, Laserdisc didn't go anywhere, right? They didn't go anywhere.
But it wasn't successful.
Yeah. So things will shake out based upon what has the most, utility, engagement, and loyalty. I kind of bang that drum a lot, but here it is. It's about interface. So yes, we're talking about for various vertical markets, including travel, hospitality, and restaurant tech. The interface can be immersive in many ways. It can be augmented reality as the digital overlay. It can be mixed reality, and Apple's coming out with a device in 3 to 6 months that could be the defining device. Meta has spent billions. ByteDance, which is the most incredible success in regards to digital and mobile technologies, their purchase of Pico. So they have this incredible investment in another piece of interface hardware, let's say. So interface and infrastructure. That's a word that a lot of the people who are watching today, they're in the technology industry in general. Many of them are. That's a clear terminology that everyone gets. What the interfaces will eventually be, what the infrastructure will eventually be the most dominant, that's going to happen over the next 5 years.
Okay, that's great. Amazing. So we're running out of time, but we got like a lot of questions I'm seeing. And what I would like to do is I would like to ask you like a final question, and then just like a final tip for people listening to that. And then to me, the metaverse should be all about collaboration and decentralization. And so if you're up for it, I see that there are still like 10 avatars around. You can actually introduce yourself, and we can talk a little. And again, share value. Jill, do you wanna take that? I know there is a question, or probably two questions. Or do you want me to ask this?
Yeah, there are two questions here on LinkedIn. There is one from Todd Stevens. He's pretty engaged. He's leaving some comments and questions in the chat, which might be interesting to look at after this session. But one of the questions he has is, should gaming companies hire real architects and designers to help create content that relates well with human use?
Who's going to take this one?
I can take that.
Go
ahead, Hassan.
like,
go ahead. No. Hassan,
go ahead. I'd like
go.
to know your point of view.
Okay. Okay. Look, the 3D objects, high resolution, representations, the ability to scan products, content, real world scenarios is becoming so prevalent now. The iPhone 13 has appropriate, horsepower and lenses so that anyone can actually, go around a rotation of a physical product. And now suddenly it's something in the 3D object that can be embedded into a immersive experience. So to me, that's slam dunk, right? The representation of real world objects, items, artifacts to be incorporated into a immersive experience, be it metaverse, be it, whatever the appropriate terminology will be in the end, is critical, because it creates that bridge of in real life to the immersive virtual side of things. But as Matea is the representative on this panel, things that don't even exist in the world, things that cannot exist in the physical world can exist in the immersive environment. And that's really exciting as well.
Okay,
that's
great.
Is that okay?
I mean, that was amazing. I think that question is a very good question, because I do believe that it's very important that in order to build an effective metaverse or metaverses, there should be a marriage between gamers and architects and interior designers, real world architects and interior designers. Now we need to do a bit, or actually lots of training for the architects in order to teach them how to build and design on the metaverse. Yet this is a very important message in order to push the metaverse industry forward.
Yeah, and I think we're still experimenting with this. Like, again, I see a lot of similarities with like website creation back in the mid-90s. I'm actually building a space, a digital twin meeting room for a client, and I received maybe 20 different quotes, and they range from 1,000 euros to 85,000 euros. So I think we're still figuring this out. But that's why it's so important to me to make sure that people understand, because it's easy to get into the hype and fear of missing out and invest money, and just in 5 years you basically have nothing. It happened with dot-com bubble. Still, the dot-com bubble created the e-commerce world that is $5 trillion market today. So again, this is exactly what I want to do with this.
Simon, I
series.
have a one addition, if I could, for this specific
sure.
question, real quick.
You're the
So,
boss.
well, you're the boss, but anyway. But you're very nice. So, real world. Here we go. 3D objects or converting, objects from IRL to immersive experiences. One of my contemporaries and partners, Daniel Grosnelov, he leads a company called Imagine Reality. And they're working on, and I'm helping them, they're working on this incredible classic high-end car museum, because there's this major collector with a major museum in Canada that has this incredible collection. So he and his team are converting it all to digital high-resolution 3D versions, and they're replicating and enhancing the experience for people who are interested to have much more interaction and much more enjoyment with these physical classic car objects. And now it was very difficult, maybe even impossible for many people to experience this collection. It's a massive collection, but now the world, again, interface and infrastructure, anyone in the world will, as long as they have the right tickets or gating environment, be able to experience this impressive collection of artifacts. And that's a real world example happening today that's being invested in now and being implemented today.
Okay, that's great. Guys, we're really running out of time, but I just want to ask you one last question, if it's fine for you. Again, the main idea of Polybius was to create diversity in the different angles of how the metaverse can work today and how this can be applied in the future. But this is still an hospitality blog. So Michael, I know you got a pretty strong opinion about that, but I'm going to ask you something because I want to listen to external point of view. So I'm going to start with Mattia. So Mattia, 2 questions, okay? The first one is, yep. If you should, in your opinion, and you're not coming from the hospitality world, of course, so to me it's even more valuable, because never forget that a lot of the innovators in the hospitality world, they do not come from the hospitality world. Just think of Airbnb, for example. And so Mattia, question number 1 is, if you'd have to give one suggestion to hotels or apartments or destinations that would like to enter the metaverse, what would it be? And second question, this will be the same question for all of you guys. What is the best way to get in touch with you if you were to want to know more about yourself?
So regarding the first question, it's the first time I find myself thinking about it. My obvious answer would be try to make it as fluid as possible. Try to make this experience when you're thinking about how to build your metaverse or how to create your space in the metaverse, to make sure that it's a fluid experience. It's tailored to the user. This is something also that is, I feel it's valid also for Web 2, right? Like designing stuff which is centered on people using it. And regarding the second question, so it was like how to get in contact, right? The second one.
Yeah.
With you, yes.
Well,
if viewers want to know more about what you do or your take on the metaverse, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, I would recommend the panels that are published into Hospitality Net. It's very well structured, I think. So for each episode, you have the viewpoint of all of the panelists. I read all of the viewpoints myself before joining the event, and I definitely had some a lot of good hints and viewpoints that I've never thought about before. So that would be one thing to get to know more. And then regarding personally myself, I would say that the easiest way to get in contact, it's definitely LinkedIn. It's the platform so far I'm using the most, and where you can find what I'm doing and sometimes to share my perspective on things.
That's great. Hassan, a little tip for hospitality providers, accommodation providers, travel providers, and then how viewers can get in touch with you if they want to know more about what you do.
Yeah, sure. My advice would be instead of listing your property or hotel on a website, on a booking website and showing some photos, create this hotel, like what I call digital twin, created on the metaverse and show your hotel to the whole world. This will really differentiate you and will give you an advantage. And this is not hard. This is easy. Just go to the right people to do it, and you will have an advantage. Now, how to contact me? The best way is LinkedIn, but you can also send an email to build@duverse.ae, which is DUVERSE.ae.
Yeah, Jill, you probably just please share the contacts of the speakers on the LinkedIn post, okay? And I totally agree with you. Actually, there's a client of mine as an avatar today, and what we're doing with this client is it's a beautiful art hotel, and we're building a digital twin with NFTs, with an NFT gallery. So like trying to create value for both the hotel and the artists and the gallery. So that's really, again, that's the metaverse. It's not only virtual reality. It's always a combination of physical, virtual, augmented, and so forth. So I totally agree with you. Michael, I know you got a strong opinion on that. You're the one in the panel that is more into the hospitality space. So I will leave the last words to you.
Thank you, Simone, and thanks everyone. Really, really great dialogue and conversation. Thanks for everyone who's watching either in immersive or other platforms. Look, and I say this in a positive way, there's no stress, but this is not if, this is when. So in the travel, hospitality, and restaurant industry, you really need to start incorporating these conversations in your digital marketing, senior management meetings and strategies, as well as your hotel and property and resort and restaurant development organizations. So the key here is that, you don't have to be first. You may not even have to be second, but you definitely have to be. So, be open-minded, work with professionals. There's a lot of great initiatives that have already happened over the last year and a half. There are some unfortunate challenges that were enabled, and that's life. There's some trial and error to this, but there's a maturity in the interface and the infrastructure that you can now really have deep conversations, strategic conversations about 2023 and beyond for your brand, for your property ownership group, for your architectural ownership group, etc. So that's something I would just leave with folks. LinkedIn is the primary, Michael C. Cohen. The C is there because there's a particular Michael Cohen in the United States that he's not a very savory character, so I had to put that C in there. But in any case, that's a great way to reach out to me, and I look forward to having various dialogues with lots of different individuals.
Look, guys, thank you so much for being with me today. Again, remember, Polybius is not only a Metaverse series, it's also a written panel. So once a month, we talk about one specific topic. I suggest to go and check out the one that we published yesterday. Again, there are some amazing viewpoints, and there is this one from Tracy. That says that behind every avatar is always a person. And to me, like, it resonated a lot with me because it's, again, it does explain that this is not only the virtual world, we're talking about the physical future, something that is already happening. Just so you know, the platform we're using today to do this is being founded in 2016. So again, whenever you hear people talking about the metaverse as the next big thing, it's not. The technology has been around for a long time. It's a convergence of different technologies, and we're, the work we're trying to do. And again, thank you, Mattia. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Michael, for being part of that. We're trying to just eliminate this misunderstanding. Again, I want to thank Jill. Thank you so much for, you don't know about it, but Jill is sending me messages on WhatsApp with questions, and she's coordinating everything. So, like, again, I don't know how I would do it without you. And thanks to Davey for directing the thing today. Yeah, clap, guys, because they really deserve it. And of course, big thanks to Henry for believing in this project. I think we're fine. Like we spoke for over an hour. Yeah, Jill, sure.
I would like to thank you as well for putting this together and for hosting this first event. And we're looking forward to the other ones and hopefully many more.
Yeah, sure. That's what we are here for. And so thank you so much. We can take a little time to relax now. And again, Mattia, Hassan, Michael, if you want to leave, thank you so much. You did an amazing job today, and you did an amazing job with the panel. I read them all. They were all amazing. And but we can take a little extra time because I see there are still some avatars here. Or maybe maybe if you wanna join the conversation and ask some questions or just introduce yourself, that would be great. I see Mauricio is here. Friend, all good?
I'm here. How are you, man?
Very good, very good. It's great to see you here.
Man, I'll put some dancing moves now.
That's great. That's great. Oh, wow. That's super.
That's the why. That's the why.
Hassan, we should high
So I
five.
hope you enjoyed the first episode.
Yeah, let's try.
And again, it's
here,
really,
down
the speakers.
Did it work?
The speakers
Oh,
we got.
No, I'm up here.
Amazing.
There we go.
There's something strange going on the couch. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you should look at one of the arms of Hassan. It looks like completely broken. It looks like
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. I didn't do it.
You
I didn't do
have
it.
broken elbow. Yeah, still hard. Yeah.
Well, as long as if it's not broken in real life, so we're good. Okay. But again, Michael, you were talking about in real life, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Like when we talk about in real life, I always feel like an old man because IRL means something to us because we're old. But if you ask like a 5 or 6 year old what real is, they could probably surprise you. Like when I was talking to the son of a client of mine, and he said to me, look, if I play Roblox today with a friend that is in New Delhi, and tomorrow I play hide and seek with a friend that just lives next to me, on a friendship level, that is exactly the same experience. So I think this
100%.
dichotomy, like in real life or virtual life or augmented life, it's like, look, Michael, we need to deal with the fact that we're boomers. We're getting old.
Yeah.
And
right.
Yeah. You agree with
I mean,
that?
Simon, here's the thing. It's also the audience, right? So for this conversation, part of our mandate is to hopefully explain, hopefully create some clarity, maybe a little bit on somewhat of a noisy space. So when I bring up IRL or in real world or in real life, excuse me, it's for the constituency. It's for people who are attending this event. If we're talking to, my kids or some people's grandkids, whatever, you're absolutely correct. They have been immersed in immersion since they've been a small child. So for them, it is just reality.
I don't remember who said that. I read this on an article that it was like shocking me. There was this mother talking about this kid um, seeing a magazine, like a physical magazine, for the first time, and he was trying to to pinch the image, and she said,
Right.
to my kid, a magazine is an iPad that's not working. It's crazy if you think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, very
So,
true.
okay. I got Luca as well. Luca, you will be in one of the episodes, right?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Ah, perfectly.
Yeah, Luca.
Yeah, I'm sorry because I was muted. Yeah, I will be on one, I guess. Nice to meet
Yeah, I
you
don't
all.
remember if it's 4 or 5, but you definitely on of the event.
How do we do today, Luca? Was it okay?
Yeah. Just actually, I was about to get the NFT for NFT London right now. So I don't know if anybody of you are going to be there.
Not
Got
really.
it.
I'm full with MBA lecturing, so I don't think London for me will probably be 2023.
What is the NFT? I didn't get it. Sorry.
It's
NFT London.
basically it's basically the European event of what was done in New York, NFT New York. Probably you saw a bunch of bored apes going around during that event, and they're replicating it in Europe. So
Well, actually, I'm trying to buy David Bowie NFT. I don't know if you've seen those. They're amazing. But geez, the price is crazy. Like
Mm.
20 ETH, like crazy.
wow,
Simon, I do have
really?
to go
That
to another
much?
meeting now because this is the cool thing. I got to go. But thanks, everybody. Hassan, nice to meet you.
Yeah, Michael, thank you so
Matia,
much
nice
for
to meet
that.
you. Thanks, guys.
And
Thanks.
Nice to
again,
meet you.
Hassan,
Nice to
Michael.
meet you, Michael.
thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for your
Michael.
time.
Of course.
Thank you, everybody. Jill, please share on the LinkedIn page or YouTube page or Facebook page all the 2D platforms where we're broadcasting the next episodes. And again, Polybius is really just came up with this idea that I had in my bedroom, and Harry liked it. So again, thank you so much, guys, for bringing this to life. Every month we publish a viewpoint. We'll try to get around 50 people from different industries doing something interesting in the metaverse, so that we can understand from different angles as well. And once a month we will meet in the metaverse to discuss about that. Jill, I don't remember exactly, but I think the next one is about like the glossary of the metaverse. So we'll go through all the different names. What is an avatar? What is a wallet? What is an NFT? What is a DAO? And so forth. So again, if you want to know more, just make sure to stick with us. You can sign up to the newsletter on Hospitality.net. You can get in touch with me, with Jill, with Davey, with Henry, and all the speakers. We will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. For now, I want to thank you all. The first episode was very good. Thank you for your insights, and thank you so much for all the people joining as avatars. Jill, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's really, really, really appreciated. Thank you, guys, and speak soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Simon.
Thank
That was
Everyone.
amazing. Thank you for the
Thank
time.
Ciao.
Dancing time.
So, thank you.